This episode felt like 5 minutes. Honestly, it's a curse when you find a good anime, because usually when you do, the episode just flies on by. Like, you sit down, you watch an episode, and the time you sit down, you get comfortable, you're getting into it, you're getting really, immersed with the content, the episode ends. And that's how I felt watching this second episode of The God of High School, and I kind of felt the same way in the first episode, but this episode especially, because I was very pumped. I was very excited to see where this episode would go, because I have no idea what's going to happen, and everything I've seen already from the first episode, me and many others were super excited. Like, the content that we received was breathtaking, and this episode takes it a step further. Like, honestly, I gotta start off by talking about that triple kick that our main character, Jin, did in this episode. Like, that spinning triple kick, bro, like, that was so beautiful. Like, in terms of artwork and just, like, presentation, like, animation, everything, it was just out of this world. Like, I have to say that Studio Mappa is really just delivering with the quality for these episodes back to back. I mean, the first episode was amazing. I mean, many cannot disagree with how good the first episode was. But then you see the second episode, and honestly, just the fluid animation, the non-stop packed action of the characters, the beautiful sequences of the action, and then these epic moments with the spin kick and all that from Jin. There's just so much life put into this series, and I know for a fact fans of God of High School have to be jumping for joy right now. There's just no way you couldn't be happy seeing just this beautiful anime adaptation of this webtoon. So anyways, let's back up for a moment and let's kind of talk about a lot of content that happened within this episode. So, number one, let's get into nanomachines. So, it's clear after this episode that nanomachines are highly advanced, and I think it's a good way to kind of let us know how certain characters might get back into action scenes or fight scenes in the future, how they could get into some action scenes after they take some really crucial and critical blows in certain episodes. Example, Go within this episode, he had his arms completely shattered. He was really messed up, like extremely messed up if you watch the entire action scene. And when you look at him, you're like, how is he ever going to fight again? But then you see earlier on in this episode that nanomachines are apparently capable of even fixing a broken neck, which is just, that's insane. Like, that legitimately is insane. Like, the nanomachines and technology in this world is so highly advanced that you don't have to worry about normal injuries of breaking bones and probably lungs being punctured, etc. Just your organs and bones can straight up just be fixed, which is just ridiculous to think about. So what I'm trying to say, how this matters, is the fact that you have characters like Go. Normally, when they're introduced into a series, they're more of like a stepping stone. They get crushed, and that's the last you ever see of them. But it's clear that because of nanomachines and how they can easily heal people, Go could potentially come back. I do think he's type of a character that would come back and be a lot stronger, being a really good reoccurring character within the story. I have that type of feeling, just because of what this episode tried to kind of show you when it came to nanomachines, which, getting into that, we know nanomachines are technically public knowledge. That there's something that are not hidden by the actual tournament, the people a part of the tournament, the organization. They are actively telling people. However, I really do doubt that they're giving this type of technology to just anyone. I highly doubt they're giving it to the poor. It's most likely something incredibly expensive, which could explain why one of our main characters actually really wants money, because we get a little bit of his backstory. Actually, all three characters got a little bit of their backstory dived into, which I'm going to get into. But the point is that he wanted, money. And when you think about everything that's been presented already, there is obviously supernatural stuff within this story. You have, like, powers that can literally just crush an island. You have this, like, darkness that was surrounding the guy in the straitjacket within this episode. Obviously, there's things that are not actually normal. There is supernatural entities at work. And so, seeing a character just wanting money, you're like, really? Out of all the things that this tournament will give you, like, it'll give you any wish, you just want money. But most likely, the reason why he wants that is because of the brief flashback, which is the person he either loves, a family member, whatever, that is in the hospital. And so because of that, he probably needs money to be able to pay for their treatment. And most likely, the nanotechnology is probably what he's going to want to use that for, because he does hint at that within the episode. So I'm assuming that's what's probably going to go on, is that most likely he needs those nanomachines, but it's incredibly expensive, so that's cool. I really do like, you know, this diving into when it comes to that. But yeah, I just wanted to briefly talk about the nanomachines. I really think they're incredibly important, very useful for story-wise, fighting-wise. It's just a very interesting tool that has been added in to the story to kind of let you know how characters are able to recover very quickly. It's kind of like senzu beans in Dragon Ball, honestly, how you know how senzu beans work. When someone throws a senzu bean, it heals them back to full. There you go. They're able to continue fighting. That's kind of what these nanomachines are. So, okay, anyways, let's back up. Let's talk about Mira. So, Mira was another character within this episode that got a little bit more backstory. She actually was someone that I think many are going to be very fond of after this episode, because, number one, she is an incredibly powerful character, which I instantly am a big fan of, because honestly, I can't be the only one that has read so many series, not just shonen, but just so many series, that have a female character that just seems good, if it turns out to be very useless, worthless, weak, etc., and, you know, the writers don't really know how to write said female character, but seeing Mira within this episode, there is definitely some hope that she is going to be incredibly important for the story, because, number one, she's incredibly strong. What she did to Jin within this episode, literally breaking his neck, and it was confirmed, not just for comedy, but literally, she broke his neck, and it actually had to heal. It shows how strong she is, and him following her around like, hey, are you a gorilla, whatever, you know, it kind of is like, it's him saying, you're very strong, you're incredibly powerful, so she's not weak, and she also uses a sword as well, and she wants to kind of revive her dojo. She wants to keep her dojo from her family continuing on going, find a successor, etc. So we found out a little bit more about what she's fighting for. She just wants her dojo to raise up in name, popularity, and not to crumble into nothing. It's an honorable goal. She wants to carry on her family legacy, basically, her legacy, and I respect that. It's something not necessarily new, but it's still something that really pulls the heartstrings. I think her fighting for that makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad to see she's very strong and not someone that's just going to be sitting on the sideline saying, go Jin, go Jin, go Jin. I'm glad that she is, you know, able to do things. So, I guess, enough about that. Let's talk about Jin. So, Jin had a few scenes in this episode that hints at his overall backstory alongside of Mira. So Mira, as I just talked about, she has a dojo she wants, and she lost her sword within this episode, and as it kind of flew over and all that into the water thanks to Jin, and Jin, you know, felt really bad about it, and he tried to find it, he made a little bit of emotional connection with her, realizing that she, you know, cares about her family member, and Jin most likely has a deep connection with, you know, the grandpa that he had in the first episode, and so because of that, he's able to relate with Mira, like, okay, so I understand why she's doing this, and I like her, and, you know, that's why I want to help her out, because she's very similar because of, you know, what I view my grandpa as, how he helped me out in a difficult spot, etc. Most likely, that's a connection he formed with her. His bond with her grew a lot larger, which, another thing, too, is that Jin within this episode is just incredibly powerful. Like, we already knew he was, but he is able to knock out the straitjacket guy in this episode like nothing. Like, he legitimately dominates him like nothing. Like, the man literally goes all in, full throttle with his arms, and he just gets thrown to the ground, and it's nothing. The actual, like, people watching over the match have to step in to stop Jin just because of how strong he is. So, Jin's incredibly powerful. Clearly, that he's way above the normal contestants of this God of High School, and I feel like he's not really going to have much of a challenge until he gets further in on, you know, the tournament. Once he gets to the nationals and stuff, I believe that's when he will really start to actually have a challenge. But for now, most of these people are kind of like fodder before him, which there is something else about that when it comes to fodder and all that and the person Jin fought. The straitjacket guy, he had a little bit of a past revealed in this episode, which I find very fascinating because he's kind of like a minor character. Yes, he's kind of like our antagonist of these first couple episodes, but he's a very minor character. But we see a brief moment of him basically saying, please forgive me, as he's pretty much being tortured by this martial artist in front of him, and he begs for mercy. He begs to be alive, like to not kill him, etc. And it kind of reveals that there's someone much stronger than him. We think he's ridiculous, but there's someone much stronger. But then there's also another faction that's trying to go behind the shadows, like in the shadows, and teach someone hidden techniques, and he wasn't actually able to learn it, apparently, and he, you know, got stomped by Jin within this episode. So there is definitely something going on behind the scenes. Besides just action, you have these two factions, or multiple factions, going at each other. You even have the United States intervening as well and kind of talking with the dude that has like the cross on his hand that's able to stamp out an island. Even he pops up in this episode and actually shows that, you know, there is something else going on overseas as well. It's not just affiliated with Korea. So this is definitely some interesting world building, good characterization, and development. I think this is a really fantastic episode of The God of High School. I really cannot wait to see what's going to happen next, because this is a quality series. Animation is beautiful, artwork is beautiful. I can't get enough of this. I really want more, and it sucks that the episode only felt like it's 5 minutes, but that's just what happens. The curse of watching good anime. But I guess I'm going to leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.